from SwitchWatch. How are you all doing today? Now today's review is of 1979 Revolution, Black Friday on the Nintendo Switch. Now because this game is an adventure game very similar to the Telltale series of games, you know they did Batman and Minecraft Story Mode on the Switch, I want to know which of their plethora of game series would you like to see on the system next. Let's get on with it. When it comes to games set around historical events, specifically in regards to a highly charged political revolution, it's always going to be a touchy subject. It's brave, ambitious, and with a lot of pressure to get it spot on. You can't make a game like 1979 Revolution and get it wrong. So let's see if this Switch port of the PC game from 2016 is up to scratch. As 1979 is an adventure game at heart with only minimal gameplay, the story is a prime focus. Without the story, this game cannot exist. Telling the story of the historical revolution in Iran in 1979, we follow a young photojournalist, Reza, who's returned from a period away from his home country, only to return to witness the public uprising against the regime. Not knowing what to think about the situation, he does what he does best and captures photos of the event for the world to see. The story is told in shifting timelines. It begins in the aftermath of the revolution where Reza is being interrogated in the notorious Evin prison in regards to his role in what's going on, accused of being against the new Islamic revolution, even though he was part of the protests that helped install it. In this regard, the story does pull you in thanks to its vagueness of the main character's involvement. When trying to be as historically accurate as possible, almost to a documentary level of storytelling, it's important that this game does not go in with an agenda or bias, something which slightly bothered me about a similar sort of game, Wheels of Aurelia, which also came on the Switch. The developers have done a great job in this aspect. I love the moral ambiguity of it all. You don't know who is in the right, if anybody at all. Each side have their flaws. There's no distinct bad guy, and the game isn't afraid to let you know that nobody is perfect. It's a great, commendable story, and I found that I learned so much about the situation. In all honesty, this was a historic event that I had very little knowledge of. I knew of its happening, but had very little idea about its inner workings. 1979 Revolution really shined a light on it for me, and made me very interested in the subject and finding out more by doing my own research afterwards. The only problem is with the abrupt ending. It leaves on a cliffhanger, but in all honesty, it doesn't feel like it was purposely left there. More like they were forced to cut it off at some point. I have no idea if there's a sequel in the works. If not, then it's a mild disappointment that we won't get to see a satisfying conclusion. The gameplay is what you would normally find in a narrative-driven adventure game. If you've played any of Telltale's famous adventure game series, then you'll be instantly familiar with how 1979 works too. This one is even more on rails, however. It's mostly about following the story and engaging in dialogue options. These are very superfluous, and I'm not sure how vital they are in interfering with the story other than receiving a slightly different response from the person talking. They do try to video game it up a little more with intermittent gameplay segments. Most often you'll be wandering around succinct environments, seeing what's going on and taking photographs. This minigame of sorts has the camera focus going side to side, and you have to take photos as clearly as possible. In the end, it doesn't matter how out of focus the shot is, it's only for your own sense of pride. Each photo you take then cuts to a comparison of a real life photo from the time and providing snippets of information surrounding it. I like that idea a lot. Then there are the quick time events, which I'm sure many of you despise. Usually I'm in the same boat, but that's only when it comes to big AAA games who have a bigger budget to do much better. This is a small indie adventure game, so it gets a pass from me. They're not challenging unless you're not paying attention, and the visual clues aren't enough to make them easily doable. That's really it from a gameplay point of view. There's not much to do besides enjoying the story 1979 wants to present. I suspect you yourself know if this is the type of game for you or not. If you need more action and gameplay, then this is not for you at all. It's the story wrapped in a minimal interactive experience. Visually, the game is sadly pretty poor. I suppose for the budget and price range they've done fairly well, but it can be a bit of an eyesore at times and is very distracting from the story that they're trying to tell. Textures are poor, character models are reused, even when they're standing next to each other. There's no anti-aliasing, which makes everything look really jaggedy. It really does not look good at all. Just look at the NPCs' faces, it says it all. They look downright bad. The performance too is not great. The game chugs along at a below average frame rate, which is something it really shouldn't do. It's not a graphically intensive game, but the optimization is not a good one. It's pretty poor. It's very distracting, and again, like the graphics themselves, it takes a lot away from the experience. It's difficult to concentrate on the story while the game runs so poorly. The visuals and performance are easily the worst aspect of the game, and it's a shame that it does mar the experience quite a lot. The worst thing is that it should not be like this. 1979 Revolution should not be pushing the Nintendo Switch at all. In order to not be such a negative section, I do want to point out that I do love the inclusion of real pictures and footage from the event. The intro sequence in particular really gave me that classic documentary feel, so props for that. The audio is very good, mainly thanks to the professional voice acting from various US-based actors of Iranian descent. It's very good and immerses you into the story very well. The music is also nicely done. It's more in keeping with a movie where it often lurks in the background during conversation scenes, but you do notice its quality. At least I did.
As if you are so innocent, but your actions have hurt so many people. Do you even know what you are fighting for?
I fought for Iran, an independent Iran.
That is the difference between us. I fight for our fate.
The game is £10.79, but there is a 20% off for a short time, which you may want to take advantage of if you're thinking about picking it up. I think for what they've tried to convey with this game, it's a fair price. Some may point to the poor visuals and short length against it, but I think the interesting story is enough for me to say it's worth it as an educational and entertainment piece. If you go to the cinema these days, you'll pay just about the same amount to see a movie, so there's that. Overall, I really like what 1979 Revolution is trying to achieve. It's got a fantastic, morally ambiguous story that tries its wholehearted best to convey this huge historic event that's not afraid to tell you how it really was. The story is engrossing thanks to the subject matter and the voice acting, but the visuals and performance make it difficult to give it your full attention. I didn't mind the tacked on gameplay, to be honest. I just wish it was a smoother experience. While I do recommend 1979 Revolution as a game, you may want to check it out on other consoles first. Hopefully it's a more optimized experience elsewhere. As for the Nintendo Switch port, well, sadly it's a 6.5. If the performance was better, it could have been a point or two higher, but it is what it is. Okay guys, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review of 1979 Revolution Black Friday. If you're a regular Switch watcher, you know what to do. Hit that like button and leave a comment below answering the question of the day. Which Telltale series would you like to see on the Nintendo Switch? Personally, I would love to see the version of Monkey Island that they did. I never did complete that back in the day. If you're new here, then we would love it if you hit that subscribe button and that little bell button for more awesome Switch content. We do reviews, features, gameplays, and unboxings. It's well worth it. You won't regret it. Anyways, I've been Jordan from SwitchWatch, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.